80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. It's also the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times. A new bill in Congress would ensure this free, reliable service remains in cars. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress to support the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
All Around Jumpers in Ontario would like to say thank you to all the local men and women in our armed forces who risk their lives daily to preserve our freedom and way of life. God bless America. This message courtesy of All Around Jumpers at 517 West J Street in Ontario. Trust the experts to rent your jumpers, balancers, tents, tables, chairs, popcorn, and cotton candy machines, and more. Call All Around Jumpers at 909-638-4564. That's 909-638-4564.
What would you do if you had a broken bone? You'd go to the doctor and use your insurance, right? Well, what would you do if you have a serious problem with drugs and alcohol? Most people do nothing until it's way too late. Your insurance can help you get clean and sober with the assistance of a place like the Detox and Treatment Helpline. Many times, addiction treatment is fully covered. So why not use your insurance to treat your addiction problem just like you would if you had a broken bone? And with the Family Medical Leave Act, you're allowed to take time off by law, and your employer doesn't need to know the reason. So there are 2 good reasons. You've got insurance you can use for your addiction problem, and with the Family Medical Leave Act, it's completely confidential. Call now, 800-398-7414. That's 800.
Redlands Ranch Market is a unique full-service international grocery store that specializes in authentic food items from Mexico, India, and from many Mediterranean and Asian countries, including popular items from the U.S. They offer fresh baked items from their in-house bakery, house-made tortillas from their tortilleria, a delicious array of prepared Mexican foods, a terrific fresh fruit and juice bar, and a large selection of meats, seafoods, and deli sandwiches, salads, and halal meats. Their produce department is stocked full with fresh local and hard-to-find international fruits and vegetables that you cannot find anywhere else. Don't forget to stop into the massive Beer Cave and experience the largest selection of domestic, artisan, and imported beers in the IE. They can also cater your next event with one of their delicious takeout catering trays of food. Visit them at redlandsranchmarket.com. That's redlandsranchmarket.com. Redlands Ranch Market, a unique and fun shopping destination.
This is KCAA.
Inside and Out. Absolutely fabulous, beautiful Inside and Out. And I'm giving you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award today.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic point.
When I go, I'm gone.
Are you lonely?
No.
Nah, I knew that was going to be
But I surround myself with people. I mean, I'm always the one cooking for things. But I'm always the one that decorates first and come to my house. All the orphans that have no place.
I'm going to have no place to go, so
Okay,
I can come
okay,
over.
come on over.
And life is so amazing if we can see it.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Spreaker, Streaker, and more. Why so many places? Because I want to maximize my splatter zone for more hope and happiness, even reporting live from Las Vegas today because there's so much bad news out there readily available as soon as you open your eyes, actually, or your smartphone. Uh, but I want to balance that out with some good news about people, about situations, and certainly my shows reflect that all 1,101 that you can access on my YouTube channel, which is a free subscribe, and then you'll get an alert every weekday morning to tune in to more hope and happiness. And if you missed any of my past shows, let's see, we had recently, well, we're going to have Rich Little on an interview. I'm going actually to his home today. He invited me to go and interview him there, so you'll get that show soon. But I mean, we had a wonderful guest that Dr. Tiffany brought, Dr. Crystal Lee, who I spent the day with yesterday, and she put on an amazing show. But I'll talk about that at my gratitude breakfast. But anyways, you can get all of those past shows and more, including my red carpet interviews with Halle Berry, John Travolta, Quincy Jones, and more. And I also bring you special series, and one of those just popped in. It is Wednesday, and you know that means it's time for Doctors in the House with myself and
Dr. Tiffany Tate.
and you all know her. She is a certified OBGYN, so an MD doctor. I'm the PhD piled higher and deeper doctor. And she is not only that, because she's a great example of when something goes wrong, you go right or you go up. She's still licensed, but she's retired as an OBGYN, and now she's got, let's see, songwriter, singer, playwright, author of many books, and cook. Have I missed anything? Mom. She does it all. She does it all. Welcome back to the studio, Dr. Tiffany. And because I am remote, it's a little bit. I won't give you the applause today. I'll give you manual applause. Yee, she's here. And welcome Vanessa Johns to the studio. If you are not driving, please go and at this YouTube channel or Facebook or LinkedIn, you can actually type in your comments. But delighted to be here and have you. Let's start with breakfast. 8 specific things that you are grateful for on the top of the bun, followed by 8 things that you like about yourself, appreciation on the bottom. Dr. Tiffany, take it away.
I am grateful that we are all still here after all of the rain. We did not float away.
It has been definitely raining koala bears and kangaroos. And today is the first. I'll show you. Can you see that? That's Vegas. And
Yeah.
it's beautiful today. There's the pyramid, and so you can see. Look at the mountains. Can you see the mountains in the snow?
Yes, beautiful, beautiful,
Isn't
beautiful.
that gorgeous? Yeah. So I am grateful that I continue to get to travel and report live from wherever I am. What are you
Yeah.
grateful for?
I am grateful that my son had the opportunity to travel to the East Coast for his auditions, and he made it back home safely despite of all the weather changes.
hmm I'm grateful for the magic of flight. Never gets old. I love flying, and it was a turbulent ride out here. So I'm grateful that I also made it here. And thank you to Timothy Taylor, who just gave us the finger, which is not that finger, but this finger. He's tuning in from Texas. Let's see. Go, your turn.
And I am grateful for the support of my family, friends, and sorority sisters.
I am grateful for people like Dr. Um, Crystal Lee. I always want to call her Charity Lee because of the foundation. Dr. Crystal Lee put on one heck of a day yesterday. a Power Women's Sports Luncheon. I got to meet Shia LaBeouf, who's a boxing champion, and then the Hammer, one of the top 10 Hammer women, and they're all going to be on the show, and many, many more. Just very, very, very impressive women. And then I got to meet Dorian Thompson Robinson, I believe, one of the quarterbacks on Green Bay. I think you can tell how much of a football. Actually, I am a football person. It's the memory that's not so good these days. I need a new external hard drive. But it was a fabulous day, and then the awards gala last night. So she's hopefully she's resting. It was the first annual, and she did a really good job. I got these beautiful. Um, you see these Native American earrings,
Mm-hmm.
and the red bead is to ward off negative energy, and these beads were used as currency back in the day. And this is horsehair from her horse Oreo.
Wow.
So I'm just I love other cultures, and Native American is absolutely beautiful.
Well, you are glowing. And Dr. Vanessa Johns has put in that she is grateful for a successful surgery. And we are grateful that you have had a successful surgery. And we pray that you do not have any complications following your surgery in the name of Jesus. Amen.
And so it is. All right. I think that is about eight gratitudes. Let's go to the bottom of the bun, which is what do you like about yourself? And the reason why I want you to work your muscle of self care, self love, self approval, because I believe it's my BS belief system that that is the foundation of good mental health. And a lot of us grew up, you're not all that, you're not good enough, and all of those negative messages, which were not good, but it is our responsibility to know that that's not true right now. So we use this exercise to get you before you go to bed. You can do these appreciations, what you like about yourself, instead of thinking about who done who wrong or what things you didn't get wrong, right, and say right. So, what do you like about yourself, Dr. Tiffany?
I like the fact that I accept me for who I am. I
Mm,
like that I am comfortable in my own skin.
beautiful. I appreciate that I am. Um, No fear. Like I'm a go for it kind of girl, no matter what it is.
Yes. I am comfortable not just in my own skin, I'm comfortable with my own weight. I'm happy that I can eat what I want when I want. I don't care what other people think about what I eat because I'm a grown woman. And I
Wow. Wow. Okay. Does that mean you're not trying to lose weight now?
I decided that I will lose when I want to lose, not based on what other people think I should lose when I lose. I decide what I
Mm,
want to do when I want to do it, how I want to do it, not based on other people's opinion, but based on my own
mm.
opinion.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, I'm still on that Love My Body Project 10.0, the
Mhm.
version getting back on, and yeah, I think that's really good. If you feel good about your body, that's all that matters. I
Absolutely.
don't yet, so I am continuing the release, and I have to manage that I'm never going to look like I did when I was modeling. That's not easy, but that's my work so that I don't get to
Absolutely.
that place. All right. One more. Go for it.
And I love my heritage, especially with me this being Black History Month. That's why I'm in my garb, and it's a part of accepting yourself and appreciating who you are, which is going to lead into what we're talking about today.
That's super great. I was going to ask you, you look beautiful, and our colors match. We did not talk about this. And my heritage is actually coming up as well, celebrating Chinese New Year on Saturday. 新年快乐. and Hongba Nalai, which is give me the red packet, which is what my kids are going to be saying soon for Chinese New Year. But I am also in my traditional chi pao that you can see for
Beautiful.
today. Thank you. To go, I get to, as I mentioned, interview the epic, iconic, one of the first comic impressionists, the man with a thousand voices, Rich Little. He's 85, I believe. So he invited me into his home for the interview. So that's why I'm all dressed up too. So that's great. And now,
Wait, so,
let's see.
Vanessa John said, I love my four daughters. So she chimed in.
All
Beautiful.
right. Beautiful. All right. And that's it for breakfast with Dr. Marissa. And I promise that if you do this for 28 consecutive days, you will sandwich your day in the most positive way. And Dr. Tiffany and I are so delighted to start every show with this grounding, positive, good life habit, or as I call it, a discipline. Thank you for joining us. And at this point, it would be applause. Sam, if you can hear me, you can hit the applause because I don't want to stick my finger into the camera, but we can applause the old fashioned way for joining us for breakfast.
Yes. That still,
Oh, pardon?
I said that still works.
That still works the old fashioned way. I like my applause thing, but yeah. Here we go. Dr. Tiffany, on Doctors in the House special series today, what is your topic?
So, today's topic to kick off Black History Month, I wanted to delve into a few things. And so, I wanted to talk about um, the doll study. And I was hoping that we will be able to show the video. Unfortunately, we can't, but you can definitely Google it. And it's part of the promo. But there's two studies. There's the current study that was done about 2 years ago, and then there is the original doll study. And basically, it's the Bobo experiment that demonstrated whether children are able to learn from social behavior and how they can process it. And basically, the children were given a black doll and a white doll in the original study. And they were asked a series of questions. And they were asked which doll is the good doll, the black doll or the white doll. And these were black children. And they essentially said that the black doll was the bad doll, the black doll was the ugly doll, and the black doll, which doll did they identify with? And then they pointed to the black doll. Which doll was viewed as the doll that did not know how to behave? And they repeatedly pointed to the black doll, and they knew that that was them. And so then you fast forward to about 2 years ago, a woman
And
tried
Dr.
to,
Tiffany, can I
yes,
just put the context in? This was 60 years ago, and
yes,
this was right after the schoolroom segregation, like I don't want to say ban, but the stopping of it,
yes.
right? So
Hmm.
that to give you context, this was 60 years ago,
Hmm.
and Dr. Tiffany can actually put the link of the clip, and I put it on the promo yesterday in my Instagram, actually all over. So if you want to just take a quick look at that, that's what we're referring to.
Hmm.
And it was a very like I mean, it had the reporter from 60 years ago, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. And actually, just to give you a quick Black history, if you want to go back to where all of this started from, originally there was there were laws, historically speaking, that separate was equal. And you want to go back to the original Plessy versus Ferguson case, where it was based on two train cars. I don't know if you were aware of that.
Mm-mm.
And so they wouldn't let black people ride in the train with white people. and that was the original case. And so after that train car incident, fast forward to Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954, and that was the landmark decision with which ruled that the U.S. had to desegregate public schools. But you can see that although the laws had changed, the implementation of the law wasn't a practical situation. You can Google people standing on, I think it was Bull Connor saying segregation now, segregation then, segregation forever. And you in Little Rock, you have people not being able to go into schools, and people would not be allowed to actually get into schools. So it was not a true desegregation because the law went into effect. So that's when you had the organization called SNCC, which was the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and these were a bunch of college kids who were trying to implement those laws. And then you had Dr. Martin Luther King trying to help implement those laws. And you had Rosa Parks trying to help get those laws implemented. And you have a lot of people trying to implement those laws. So even though you had the law that said it was time to integrate, the implementation of those laws were not truly in effect. So, even though we had an African American president, there were still problems with implementation of those laws. So, in the 90s, in the 80s and 90s, you had a law called affirmative action to still try to implement those laws in colleges and universities. That law has since been repealed in a lot of places. I can say firsthand, when I went to UC Santa Barbara, I was only one or two in a class of 500 as far as African American students in like my biology class. And that was with affirmative action. So there was still a problem with the implementation, and a lot of people felt that me being one or two in a class of 500 was too many. And that law has since been repealed because, again, that was still too many. So you fast forward, and this person who did the study, she modified it. She, instead of just having a black doll and a white doll, she had a black doll, a white doll, like an Asian doll, and a Hispanic doll. And instead of asking the students which doll they wanted to play with, she just placed it in the room and let the students pick which doll they wanted to play with. And what she found was still disturbing. Even after having African American president, Barack Obama, the black doll was stepped on, burned, and just treated terribly. And she said, if you go from back then to now, not much has changed. So then you have to say, okay, how do you change systemic views of racism? How do you change how people intrinsically view themselves? So I like the fact that we go through an exercise where we say, what do you like about yourself? Because if you have a race of children that inherently look at themselves as being less than and thinking that, okay, because of my skin color, I can't do anything, they are programmed to think, I can't do anything. Um, how do you fix that? How do you program that differently? And then in some of the studies, they looked at African American kids, they looked at Latino children, they looked at Caucasian children, and how do you fix a system that's broken. It takes education because if you have adults who've already been programmed, how do you fix the children?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I'm gonna say ditto to Zenobia. I hope I said that right. Queen, good information, Dr. Tiffany, and we're definitely putting the moose on the table to kick off Black History Month. What's interesting, Dr. Tiffany, is I didn't when I first looked at you said the clip and it said baby doll, right? And I googled baby doll and it's talked about some kind of drug with fentanyl and I thought, oh, she's looking at suicide or something like that. And then when I actually got to look at the clip, I didn't know, and I played on my Tuesday show yesterday, the conversation with Caldwell Williams, whose grandparents were born slaves. And Sam, I don't know why you keep giving me a counter because the show's not over until 10. So you're just if you, in case you can hear me, he's my sub. Oh, for break, you're scaring me. No, we don't do that on this show. We take it when we want to. I have a substitute sound engineer this morning. Maria, thank you for checking in. This is the co-captain of my cashew gallery, as I call it, in there. Welcome and good morning. And we are talking, if you've just tuned in, this is Take My Advice. I'm not using a gift balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and my YouTube TV channel, where we have lots of great people right now commenting and asking questions for this special series on Wednesdays called Doctors in the House with Dr. Marissa
Dr. Tiffany Tate.
and the topic for today is I'm calling it We've Come a Long Way, Baby, dot, 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 or have we? And we're looking at racism, systemic racism. It is Black History Month, and I'm going to put the moose on the table. Some of you, I've heard comments like, "Oh, we're not going to talk that about that again. We've already, done, all that we have done. It's not the way it used to be. Don't bring up the race card. You're making such a big deal, blah, blah, blah." And I've heard these comments. I do not agree with these comments and why I use this platform to continue to spotlight and highlight the need to, as Dr. Tiffany says, we may have the laws. It's kind of like a judgment in the court. The judge can say, you owe this person how many $1,000, but that doesn't mean they're actually going to pay it. So that's the parallel. We have the laws, but that doesn't mean racism isn't alive and still in action, as we saw with George Floyd, as we continue to see with this baby doll experiment. We still see somehow people of color as less than, as not as whatever, smart, successful. I will say that I was one of the first valuing diversity consultants in Los Angeles. I got to work with a very large bank, which was the first bank who's no longer in existence uh, on valuing diversity and eradicating racism. And I did like 88,000 trainings in Los Angeles County for valuing diversity. And what I think happened was some of it just went underground, and people would say they are not racist, or but the obviously we saw with Capitol Hill, racism is alive and well, and especially in certain parts of the country. The popularity of the guy who wants to be president again. So we are doing our job now with education, and Dr. Tiffany is giving us the things that you may have known or not known, and especially if you're not a person of color. you're in a position that you can really help. Not saying that you have to be a person of color to know any of the racism that goes on. I know that everybody experiences some kind of racism, but let's be real. There's some cultures and some heritage that got it worse. And this is the time to really ask, are we doing everything we can so that every child knows how special they are, regardless and with their skin of color of skin.
And
So
Stephanie put in a comment that you can't legislate morality and you can't change people's hearts.
that
That is,
is true. Unfortunately, I can't wave a magic wand, even if I wanted to. But you had a quiz actually
yeah.
that I thought was really interesting
And so
to
I'm going
administer.
to I'm going to ask you the questions of the quiz.
And we're going to assess whether I am racist or not. And I'm willing to uh, um, take whatever the answers are. Dr. Tiffany took this quiz. Can you put the link in the chat as well so that we can play along with that? I am reporting live from Las Vegas, so I'm a little handicapped on the phone today. But we're gonna see if Dr. Tiffany can multitask this morning instead of me. I have no share screen function. You know how I love to share stuff. If it's not easy, don't worry about it. They can use my assistant Google to look up racism quiz. What's the source of it?
It is proprofs, PROPROFS.com.
Perfect.
Oh,
And welcome to all those in the stream. We have more and more eyeballs coming in. We have a new one just come in from YouTube. Good morning, Jerry Foxel Cater. I don't think I've seen your name before, so welcome to the show. Dr. Tiffany is about to administer to me a racism quiz to see
and it
how I
looks
do.
like this, if I can show it to you.
Perfect.
All
Yeah.
right.
So you can answer the questions as she's asking me to see how similar, and then she's going to tell me how I scored.
It says racism test. Am I racist? All right. It says, do you view yourself as harboring prejudice, beliefs, or biases? Yes or no?
Can I say 88% of the time no?
Okay, we'll say no.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to go to the next question. Do you inform, do you form initial impressions of people based on their appearance or ethnicity? Yes or no?
Yes. And I'm going to say that everybody does. The first three things that you look at when you meet someone are age, gender, and race. You can't help it.
Do you hold negative feelings toward any specific racial or ethnic group? Yes or no?
88% of the time, no.
Do you make racial remarks or comments? Yes,
No.
no,
No.
sometimes, or rarely.
No. Well, I did one by accident, unintentionally, and it
So
bit my
rarely,
my butt so rarely. Yeah,
rarely.
I
Okay.
forgot about that. And
Do,
that's the thing, unintentional. Even though you didn't mean it, you still have to take responsibility for it. That's one of the hard things.
do you have friends who belong to a different race? Yes or no?
Yes, one of them's on camera.
I count.
Yes, you do.
What are your thoughts on relationships between individuals of different racial background? Is it that's cool, it is normal, I have a problem, or it is wrong?
That's cool, especially since my kids are Hapa.
What is your first reaction when seeing a Caucasian woman with an African American child? Aw, he or she is so cute. Good for them. I am indifferent. I judge them. And here's the little
The
thing.
first one. Aw, the first one.
Do you refuse to participate in the festivals or cultural gatherings of other people? Yes, sometimes it depends on the culture, rarely or no.
No, I can say that one for
Yeah,
sure.
you did it last night.
I did. Native American.
How would you respond if you witnessed an act of racism? I wouldn't say anything. I would take action against it.
Action.
When you hear someone making a comment that shows insensitivity towards race, how do you typically respond? I address the comment and explain why it's offensive. I usually don't say anything and move on.
What are you, stupid? No, kidding. First one.
Do you make a conscious effort to educate yourself about the historical and cultural experiences of various racial groups? Yes or no?
Yes. And if you're taking this quiz along with me, you realize that it's teaching us how to not be racist, in case you haven't figured that out. So usually the first answer is what all of us, if we did, would be a good thing.
Have you ever taken a stance against a racial stereotype or joke, even if it involved confronting someone? Yes or no?
Yes.
Are you receptive to recognizing and addressing your own biases? Yes or no?
Yes. And as far as confrontation, I don't usually say you're so stupid or did you hear what you just said? I do say I'm positive that you didn't mean that comment in the way that it was probably received. So the word confront doesn't help in the education sometimes. If you fly off the handle, if anyone says something about watermelon or fortune cookies or something like that, that doesn't help either. I think our reactions and the way we educate is really important.
Absolutely. You want to be sensitive so that they are receptive. Do you acknowledge the existence of systemic racism and its influence on society? Yes or no?
Say that question one more time. My mind was wandering to another guest that I want to tell you about. Sorry.
Do you acknowledge the existence of systemic racism and its influence on society? Yes
1000%.
or no?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Have you had discussions with friends or family about the significance of equality and the eradication of racial discrimination? Yes or no?
Yes. And I'm happy to say that our next generation seems to be way better at valuing diversity for the most part than we are, this generation or the last.
You are not prejudiced or implicitly biased. You demonstrate a commitment to equality and understanding. Your open mindedness and willingness to learn contribute positively to fostering a diverse and inclusive world where individuals are treated with respect and dignity regardless of their background.
Yay! That was the summary or the profile that I just completed on a great quiz Dr. Tiffany Tate brought to the show. Jerry, I think, went along with it, and she, I think, probably scored about the same thing as me. Yes, no, no, yes. That's cool. I'm indifferent.
Absolutely.
Yes, 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 yes. So I think she scored with the same profile there, and that's great. And And again, this is not a shaming exercise. This is not a blaming exercise. It is a, let's do this together and put the moose on the table of things that are still, not okay. And I'm reminded I interviewed the Scottsboro Boys play that was at the Amundsen several years ago. And I was shocked. And that story is about a group of young black men who were accused of rape of on a train of a white woman. And the shocking thing was that they did not receive a pardon from Alabama until the 90s. Like to this day, we still, lynching is still not outlawed in all of our states. Like that to me is, we got some serious issues. And now with what's going on politically, I'm like holding on with for dear life as far as we're going backwards. We are definitely. I used to say, no, we're making strides. We're making strides, but it does seem like we are going backwards. So what that means for us is not to panic, not to do any of that, but be very. There's some background noise. I don't know where it's coming from, but just be very, very happy, happily educational to everyone who is, willing to. Are you moving stuff there, Dr. Tiffany or Sam? Sam, can you watch your mic or something? I don't know where that's coming from. Do you hear it?
I hear it.
Oh, it's a mouse. They're agreeing with me. So Vanessa Johns is being very honest and said, I didn't do well. So that just means, again, no blame, no shame. We're in this together. And I promise you that if you, after the show, go to someone who knows you well and say to them, I may not be as non racist as I thought I was. Could you highlight when I say things that might be taken as racist? And if you just start with that, we're building an environment where it's okay to admit that we're not perfect,
Mhm.
admit that we have some growing to do. And if you are a person who is accused of white privilege or that you're racist, and I know I have a lot of clients who get really pissed off if they are told that they made a racist comment or you're racist, and they just fly off the handle. And my suggestion to them is, I I know you probably aren't. I know you're not. But can you put yourself in the situation on how they might unintentionally think that that comment is, you know, towards racism? And I think that if we got less defensive, then we could also be better at learning how to value diversity. I'm going to shut off my mic and see if it's me.
It stopped.
It's me. I'm not moving except me. So I apologize. I don't know where that's coming from,
But
but
it also stopped when you turned it back on. So go figure. Um, but I do want to read a poem from my book Flowetry, 108 Poetic Flows on Life, Love, and Liturgical Issues. And this is from the life section. It's called My Country, of Thee I Sing. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. But wait, that doesn't really apply to me. Nevertheless, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, from every mountain side, let freedom ring. But wait, except for the black community. In that group, this will not apply to thee. Nevertheless, of thee I sing. So, what exactly does it mean to be free? Freedom is the right to act, speak, or think without hindrance, you see. That surely does not apply to me. Nevertheless, of thee I sing. From slavery till this present day, America still has not found a way to let all lives have a say. Nevertheless, of thee I sing. Native Americans were slaughtered for this land. Black slaves built this country and its wealth by hand. But our exclusion was the master plan. Nevertheless, of thee I sing. The Constitution's three-fifths compromise, it still brings tears to my eyes. The Fugitive Slave Clause put the idea of freedom on pause. Nevertheless, of thee I sing. In 1896, Plessy versus Ferguson, separate but equal one. This has never truly been undone. Nevertheless, of thee I sing. The white black wealth, health, and economic disparity, it should be a wake up call for you and me. True, equality is what is needed, you see. So we must really change our song. We must change our song. We must change our song. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. Let her fight against all racial disparities, against the hate mongers, please. Yes, of thee I joyfully sing. This is how we make America and keep her great, by the abolishment of racial hate. That's how we make America great. Let us band together for those in need. This is how we keep America and make it succeed. Yes, of thee I joyfully sing. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam, God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Thank you.
Wow, I love that one. Love, love, love that one. Yep, you identified. You put the moose on the table with your song there, Dr. Tiffany, which is my Canadian version of talking about the elephant in the room, and you're getting some nice reactions to that. Um, it is something that we just, I don't think we'll ever uh, get it all together, but as long as the journey and we're trying, I think it's a good thing. And definitely I am going to put the moose on the table about Asians. I know Chinese people are very prejudiced. We have some not so nice names for other races, and I'll be the first one to admit that. So it's not a black white issue. It is definitely a all of us issue, but the ways in which America approaches equality definitely needs some work.
Oh, absolutely. There was a video I wanted to send, but I guess we wouldn't have been able to show it anyway, where some of the comedians were talking about racist stereotypes within races. And I was like, oh my goodness, it would have been very funny. But they were like, using some not so great language that could have been shown. And they were talking about stereotypes within the Black community, and I was like, it would have been nice to expose some of the stereotypes and really put some of the moose on. I guess moose. What is the plural for moose? Meese, mooses. I don't know.
Moose. I think the plural is moose, and
It's
it's
moose,
not
right?
me because I just was on mute and it happened again.
Okay.
So somewhere there's a ghost trying to make noise in the studio,
We want to talk about
but
those stereotypes, I guess. But
But you bring up a really good point around humor. And I
yeah,
think that in the past, it was okay to make fun of people, including races, especially races, to get a good laugh. And even though he's not good at all with the treatment of women, Bill Cosby actually did very well in finding humor without putting down race. And that's the one thing, it's interesting. I'm going to go see Rich Little I get to interview him in his home today, and then tonight I'm going to see his show. And I saw a little bit of him at this event. And, he is from back in the day. And there's some things that it'll be interesting to see in the show, how much, is still a little misogynistic. It's just his era. Do we jump up and down, and you can't, and you have to have a little bit of compassion sometimes for how people just don't get it, because just like they don't know how to use computers, they weren't trained in it, they didn't think that way. Not to excuse it, but to have a little more compassion sometimes. That way my reaction is not quite as negative and angry. And that's why I got distracted before. I think I love this analogy that was brought by my guest TM Garrett, who is a former white supremacist leader in Europe. Okay, so you're talking about someone who is completely on the extreme of not valuing diversity. Okay, so he came on, and he's now helping people remove swastika tattoos, and he's amazing. He's gone like completely the other end. But he said something really important. If you are trying to talk to someone who is racist, who has spent their entire lives going that way, and they're 12 miles into the woods of
Mhm.
racism, it's not possible for you to go and, you know, make them come out of the woods for 12 miles. You got to take people where they are and not react, and sort of, bite your tongue, even though it's very uncomfortable to listen to someone being racist. I still can't do it, but to just still listen. And he says that when there is a willingness to allow a person to express their beliefs, then there's an opening for those beliefs to be shifted. But when there's an intolerance for any other belief, we're never going to get anywhere. So I thought that was brilliant. I still can't do it, but it's something that I'm working towards. I wanted to read to bring that up.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that the challenge is, especially people say, well, I can't be racist. I don't have power. I get it. And I think that one of the issues here are the dynamics when you look at how you can be biased. You may not have the power to determine whether or not someone gets a home loan or whether someone gets a job, but you can have uh, issues with whether or not someone gets to play with your grandchild or someone gets to have interpersonal relationships and how they interact with each other. And I think we should all just try to be better people and better human beings.
Mhm.
And that's why I want to try to write as many books as possible because I want to make the world better one book at a time.
Mhm.
And I think that if we can start being better human beings, and if we're better human beings, I know we can't be colorblind because we are who we are. And that's why I said it's important to acknowledge my race because when you acknowledge my race, you acknowledge my skin color, you acknowledge everything that I've been through, everything that my people have been through. I think it's important for you to acknowledge me in my culture. I think it's important for me to acknowledge you in your culture. Don't tell me that you don't see that I'm black because I am.
Mhm.
That's important. That's
Mhm.
important that you acknowledge who I am, my struggle. It's important for me to acknowledge you and your struggle and to accept me as I am.
Mhm.
I think it's okay. I don't care that you're white. I can love you as you are. My son is dating a Latino woman. I think that's great. I think it's wonderful. I think that their love is beautiful. And I don't care about her race as long as they love each other. But I embrace her culture. I embrace her race. I think it matters who she is. I think her culture matters. I can't discount her culture. I think the fact that her culture exists is wonderful. I want to embrace it. I want to love her and her culture. But I can't say, oh, it doesn't matter that she is what she is. Her culture is just as important as his culture. And we can't just say, I'm colorblind. No, we're not colorblind.
That is true. Yeah. It when you say and you said it a couple times. I don't think you meant it that way when you said I don't care about her culture. I don't care about her race. And then you said you did care. So I think that sometimes when people say I don't care about the fact that you are a woman, or I don't care about the fact that you're Asian, that I know what they mean. They're trying to say that I'm important no matter what color I am. But the unintentional impact of that is, what do you mean you don't care that I'm Asian, right? Or what do you mean? I had a boss that said, you're so direct, you're so communicative, you're so strong. Sometimes I forget you're not a man. And I'm like, yeah, really? But he meant it as a compliment. And that's just why it's a complicated thing. It's not black and white. We are a combination of all of the things and how we're different. And there are group differences, but we're not all exhibiting those differences if we're in that group. So that's why it's so difficult, this whole concept of valuing who we are, because I have clients who say, just give me the Bible that says this is what you should say to Asians, this is what you should say to black, this is how you should address a Filipina, and it's like there is no book like that. The most important thing is, if someone says to you that was an insult, or you just made a racist comment, the most important thing is to say, oh my God, I didn't intend to, but tell me what it was so that I'm more sensitive to what I said. That is, to me, the best kind of reaction. And we just got the 2 minutes from Sam. Thank you for the timer. Final 30-second word, Dr. Tiffany.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I said I didn't care. What I meant to say was I embrace her as she is and her culture. But as we are who we are, we need to love ourselves. We need to embrace other people as they are in their entirety and just love on one another and try to evolve and be accepting of everyone and all of the world, and just try to be better people on a daily basis. And don't take yourselves and judge yourselves too harshly. And no matter what mistakes you've made in your past, and if you didn't do well on the test, don't worry, you have tomorrow. And just try to be a better person tomorrow than you were today or the day before. And forgive yourself and grow.
Awesome. And my 2 second is, let's put the kind back in humankind. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you, Dr. Tiffany. Great information today. Remember, it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out, world peace through, inner peace. Now go and have the best day ever. Tomorrow is Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and James Hawthorne. We'll see you.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. The first hearing in House Republican